Olá a todos, bem-vindos a mais um projeto da Associação MVC. Desta vez, o nosso novo projeto chama-se Let's Talk, em português, Vamos Conversar. Este projeto surgiu em parceria com a instituição OIP, Oeste International Partners, e consiste em haver uma conversa semanal entre um estrangeiro e um português. A conversa será realizada em inglês ou na língua que seja mais acessível a ambas as partes. E será uma conversa fluida sobre costumes, experiências, gostos em comum, todos os temas que possam imaginar. Bem-vindos a este novo projeto Let's Talk. Vamos conversar? Hello everybody, welcome to a new project from Associação MVC. This time our new project is called Let's Talk, in Portuguese, Vamos Conversar. This project appeared from a partnership with OIP, Oeste International Partners, and it consists in a weekly conversation between a foreigner and a Portuguese person. These conversations are going to be natural, about experiences, common tastes, and all the themes you can imagine. Welcome to this new project.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
How are you, Joseph?
I am good, Pedro.
Welcome to Let's Talk. Can you tell a little bit about you, please?
Okay, yes. My name is Joseph, and I born in Hong Kong. And then when I about late teens, I went to England for my educations. And more or less since then, it's 40 years in England.
40?
40.
Yeah.
Yes, long time. So, and now I, like a lot of people, will retire in this lovely place. Yeah, lovely Portugal, Silver Coast. And it was excellent. And like today, it was lovely weather.
So the main theme of today is about the Chinese cuisine.
Yeah.
And about the China itself. So can you talk a little bit about the China?
Okay, I think a lot of people know China are very big,
Yeah.
but often and a lot of people.
Yeah.
But if I put something in perspective, how big is China? Yeah. Okay, we know Portugal.
Mhm.
Portugal, the size is about 10,000 kilometers. Yeah. And China is 100 times. So that means is the Portugal is 1% or just a little bit less than 1% of the size of China.
Yeah.
So really, it's like we're saying it's 100 times bigger. And in terms of people as a world population, Chinese it's about 20%. So 5 people in the world, 1 would be Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Portugal is about 10 million. So what it means is if 1 Portuguese, that would be 140 Chinese.
Yeah.
So you can see, you'll be thinking in that perspective, it will help you to think a bit more.
Yeah, and the China it's a whole country.
Yes, it's China's the whole country, and yes, the population we say is about 1,400 million Chinese, but also the overseas Chinese is about 50 million. The Chinese people who live outside China.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a very big country and a lot of people.
So China is an old country, really. So it has a lot of culture, and the culture culture represents or does the cuisine represent the Chinese culture?
Yes, I think we have to think differently because when people say Chinese cuisine or Chinese food,
Mhm.
people thinking is only one type. But for example, in Portugal, yeah, you will have different dishes from the south,
Yeah.
the center, and the north.
Mhm.
Yeah, and in China, in fact, we have 34 provinces because it's so many people. So as you're thinking about, you do travel from from the south, from Canton, all the way to the north, to Mongolia. Even the train take you 2 days. So it's various. So we got 34 provinces in the whole.
Mhm.
But in general, you have to think about that way. In general, each province is over 40 million people. Yeah. So each province have its own cuisine,
Okay.
its own special. But we do have the famous one. That's 8 famous cuisine. So what say is the best cuisine? So that will be the Beijing style, a Shanghai style, a Sichuan style, and then also Wulan and Zhuzhou. But the best one is the Canton style, is in the south,
Mhm.
because the reasons why in the south is the best one, because obviously one with the food, the ingredients. So we get the fresh fish, we got the good weather for all the vegetable, and also in the south of China, often it's used to be a much more wealthy. So we learn how to eat. And so in China itself, we are saying, if you eat in Canton. So it symbolizes, so Canton is the best place or the best food.
Okay. Can you name me some dishes or famous dishes from that region?
From Canton, the Canton, the interesting thing is it's not particular dishes. It's like, for example, Beijing. Everybody talk about the Beijing duck, yeah. But in Canton, the main dishes we have is the technique of cooking,
Mhm.
because the stir fry style, which the technique is make the food are very fresh, and you can taste what it's supposed to taste. And because in Canton we don't use a heavy seasoning, because normally what we're saying, if you use a heavy seasoning, that means your meat is not very good. So
Yeah.
you use the seasoning to disguise or to
Mhm.
cover
Mhm.
the bad quality.
Yeah.
But because in Canton we have the fish, we like to have at the fish, we want to slaughter them when they're still swimming. Yeah, when they're dead, the price is down at least 50% cheaper. So you can see that's why we're asking for a lot of things that are very fresh. And that is why they were the best.
Friend is asking you if you think the European food is better than the Chinese one.
I think is it European? No, no, I wouldn't say that. I won't say that. I think I will only say it's different. It's different because also the European culture, because the Chinese have 5,000 years of culture,
Yeah.
and the Europe is about 2,000, I suppose. But also we have a different way of cooking.
Mhm.
For example, in China, in I suppose it's for only for the reason, but even majority of the family in China, we don't use oven. So we don't, yeah, we stir fry or we steam. So we use stove. But because of European, it's more or less everybody use oven.
Yeah.
So it's a slightly a different cooking technique, but also a different culture. For example, in you yeah, you will roast a chicken, you will roast a big joint of meat, but we don't. We have the small pieces and things like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, but yeah, also I think the food to Chinese are much more different from the European, because for the Chinese, first we always say civilization, the first thing is food. Yeah, you can, if you're hungry, you don't have manner, you don't have politeness, yeah, you survive. So you eat first, and that is we recognize. And then the secondly, the important thing for the Chinese is we look at food are much more further, deeper, because we look at the food as a medicine.
Mhm.
every day we eating food, we will thinking about how to make ourselves a better health in terms of a preventive. For example, I give you some example. How can we do that? For example, we recognize in the autumn, you always easily to have cough, dry because it's the weather. Yeah. So the Chinese, we will have food, for example, we will have pear, so we have honeys and we have lemon. So to throwing, and then in winter, because it's cold, so we will have stew lamb, but we will not have it in the summer because your body in the winter you need energy. So we have those food will create energy, keep you warm. So we think about those things. Yeah. So in the summer, maybe like seasonal, we will have a watermelon to make soup and to make things. So to cool down your body. So we are. I suppose it's the history come is because Chinese in the nowadays in the Europe you talk about alternative medicine. Yeah. But for Chinese, we are always, as a herbist, we use a lot of herb.
Yeah.
Yeah, the herb is the medicine. So we have the herb, for example, we make soup. Every meal in China, every meal we have soup to go. Normally is one soup, two vegetable, one fish, and one meat. So it's always is 4 to 5 dishes with our rice.
Yeah. Hannah is asking about the steam cooking. Can you explain what is that?
This I think is, I suppose is we have to go back. You talk about 1,400 millions people cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, to have everybody to have an oven, everybody to have a fridge in the old time is a lot to produce. So the easiest one, I suppose, is like Portuguese in your history is use the wok. Yeah, or to stove. So the steam, because if you wok, you can stir fry, and then also you can put water in, and then you can steam. So it's because the simplicity is easy and is affordable. So because you're thinking about your country, in Europe, it's about 2,000, and we are 5,000 years in the record civilization. So you can see before when everything is so simple. So the only simple equipment can be used or can be used, so in general.
Yeah. You talk about the rice. We know that Chinese eat a lot of rice. Why is that?
No, well, I think that is the perceptions of the Europe because obviously, for example, you will associate spaghetti for Italy. Yeah, so you label them. For the Chinese, the one who eat the rice is the one in the south. In the north, is they normally eat is noodles and dumpling. But why European are more associated rice with Chinese? Because the overseas Chinese primarily is from the south, and from the north is not majority don't go to overseas. It's the south who go to the overseas. The main reason is the south is because of Far East. You go to Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore many years ago, and to Korea and to Japan, and obviously also the Chinese in the south. We go to England, we go to America, and the certain Chinese we primarily rice is important to us, but not to the north.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is a
so
perception.
it's important only for not only but the mainly on the
South.
the south.
Yeah, because in the south we produce from
because
the Yellow River downward. Because in China you got the Yellow River, you got the Yangtze River, and then anything in that away from the Yellow River in the north is we call the north. Between the Yellow River and the Yangtze River, we call the central. Yeah, and then after the Conji, the Conji River, then is down south. That is where the Wulan, the main in the middle we call is the rice basket for the Chinese because that is where the rice grow. Yeah, and it's the weather, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like in England, in North Europe, they have more potatoes and bread and things like that.
Yeah. Fred is asking why do the Chinese not eat many potatoes? I suppose that it is because of the weather, but
No, because potato as a history, the first potato was originally from Afro-Caribbean, and then it was introduced to England, to Europe. So it never introduced to Far East. Yeah, and we actually call in our is called a European groundnut. That is the name. So the potato we use mainly is for soup, but I think it maybe for the last 10, 20 years, McDonald bring in the introduction of the chips to Far East. But otherwise, it just because the rice is the main diet, and also potato make you fat.
yeah.
Yeah, so we probably rice a bit better than the potato.
So I have to ask you this: do the Chinese eat everything? Because there is a myth that the Chinese eat everything, like cats and dogs. Here in Portugal, people say those things.
I think again I have to bring back. If you have to feed 1,400 million people every day.
Yeah.
And also in China, but also we have to thinking in China. In China, we have internal war for many, many, many years. So with war, what does it mean? That means people starve, people have to eat wherever they can to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really, so as a history, Chinese learn food is important. You have to try to eat everything.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one saying we always said we only one thing we don't eat is if the head against the sun, facing the sun, because only humans standing up in it. So anything if the head is not face the sun, you can eat. So you can tell me now, the slate is an excellent cuisine if you ever try because in winter it keeps you really warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so really for the Chinese, without religious reasons, food is for people, and that's why we try to find all different herbs to eat. Yeah, so animal is the same.
Yeah. There are many people that are vegetarians in Chinese. There is a thing in.
Yes, it is because our national religions in China is Buddhism.
Mm-hmm.
So all the monk is vegetarian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they believe it should not be killed. And even, I suppose, in your culture, it's the same. Some of them, for the Chinese New Year Day, often the first meal always is vegetarian. So we say we start without killing. Yeah,
Okay.
and in also in Tibet, even are more their religious. They don't even eat or kill any animal, including ants. When they see the ants, they will walk past because it's the respect of the living things. Yeah. So, but what about Portugal? Do you have a day you are eating vegetarian or never exist?
No, there is a special days. Uh, this is a 40 days thing that the Christians do.
For the Easter.
Yeah, the Christians don't eat meat on during the 40 days.
Yeah.
So it's not vegetarian, but we or the Christian people do that. they only eat like fish. They can't eat.
They can eat fish.
Yeah.
Just not
No,
meat.
no, they can't eat meat.
They can eat meat.
Yeah, just fish or vegetables.
Yeah. No, because when I come, because the Chinese and Portuguese, some of the dishes very similar,
Yeah.
and I enjoy. But I'm always wonder. As some of my friends ask, why Portuguese do not eat vegetable? Because when we go to the restaurant, that the vegetable is only salad.
Uh-huh.
Why? Because you grow so many vegetables here.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but I think this is a more nowadays thing because back in the days people have to eat like vegetables because it is a more easy thing to produce and people
Yeah.
do not kill pigs every day to
Correct.
eat
Yeah.
meat or even chickens or cows, everything. I think people eat more soup
Yeah.
and put some vegetables in there. But we normally don't go to the restaurant to eat
eat
soup.
vegetable. So, am I right then? If we don't count the soup and the salad, you don't have any vegetable.
Yeah, I think it's more. It's not the main dish. It's like and you have the meat.
Yeah.
And then you have
And the
some
meat.
vegetables to.
Like what?
Yeah, just on the side of the plate.
What,
Just,
salad?
yeah, or salad or something. Just, but just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So mainly it's a meat eater
Yeah.
here. Okay. Because I think in China we always say in a Chinese meal you should have two vegetables every meal,
Mhm.
two dishes. So proper cook. Or we will mix. For example, we may share the chicken or pork or beef or fish, but we always cook with vegetable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm always surprised when this country you grow so many lovely vegetable fresh, but doesn't seem you will have it. Yeah.
Uh, Let me see. Oh, okay. The Paulo Cardoso is asking that he have seen the students at the university cafeteria in Beijing eat rice noodles for breakfast. Is this a common thing to do at home? To
Yes.
eat noodles at breakfast?
Yeah, in the north. Yeah, again, it's in Beijing. It's the north. In the north, the breakfast normally is a dumpling, soya milk, and also noodles.
Okay.
Yeah, they noodle. They mix it, and also if we go into a bit further, two things. How the Chinese food actually or produced or introduced to Europe is in history is by Marco Polo.
Mhm.
And that's why in the north, because Marco Polo go to the Beijing to stay there for I think it's 5-10 years and then take back. And that's how the spaghetti was introduced to Italy and the pizza.
Mhm.
But then also, but in the south of China, in our breakfast are completely different. In the China, in the south, I don't know, do you hear, we call dim sum, it's a snack. So normally people, when I say about like my parents, they will go to the restaurant every morning. They don't cook. They go to restaurant at the morning. So we call it in Chinese called yum cha. That means have tea. So they will have the tea and then they will have 2-3 snack. The snack is made by chicken, pork. It's very delicate. So in the south, it's a much more sophisticated, I would say, in that way, and that's well popular if you go to England or anywhere, or even Lisbon. You in the morning, if you go to Chinese restaurant, then you have the yum cha. Yeah, and the snack is very beautiful, lovely. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
People in Portugal normally eat like a piece of bread in the morning, not the because we don't have that culture to eat a lot of in the morning.
Yeah,
You can even talk to people that don't eat in the morning.
correct.
We
But
have a lot of people like that that only drink like a cup of milk or a
yeah,
cup of coffee.
Yeah. it is true because yum cha it become quite a well popular, but people always assume it's Chinese
Mhm.
or the whole China. Yum cha is only in the Canton province.
Yeah.
If you go to China, if you go to Beijing, you won't find it.
Mhm.
Because different province have a different, but that's why people will say if you eat in Canton because it's much more delicate and much more special.
Okay. So you have told me about the rice. Yeah, I'm asking you how the Chinese eat the rice with the chopsticks.
No, we don't. Well, I think the history, see, chopsticks have a history about 6 to 9,000 years.
Okay.
Yeah, but people will say, okay, why chopstick? Why not, like in Europe, why use the fork and things like that? But you think about if we are a Stone Age, yeah, or before, chopstick was used. I read out is because the Chinese used the toothpick to pick up the hot food from a very deep pot. Because you think about in the old day, it's not like you got a family unit. It's like a community. So you got a big pot in it. But how can you take food out when it's hot? And then I think somehow somebody saying, I got two stick. And so we actually practice it and then we carry on. And also we go back to it. It's another, if you got 1,400 million people, everybody have a fork. How many fork you have to make? Yeah. But if two chopsticks, it's easy, isn't it? You can find it straight because we use chopstick. Actually, we got about 5 different material you can make. It's a wood, bamboo, uh, metal, or ivory, which is not anymore now, and then also like hard plastic. So it's much easier and it's very good, particularly in Portugal. Why? Because when you forgot everything in the wilderness, if you know how to use chopstick, when you do barbecue, you can take and turn around. Yeah, you think about it. Otherwise, you have to find something in this hot.
I know that I don't know if this is a Chinese thing or Japanese thing, but I know that it's unpolite to stack the meat or the food with the
Correct.
chopstick.
Yeah, the reason is a bit of culture because, as you know, the Chinese or in the Far East, we use incense to burn for to pay respect for our people.
Yeah.
So if you stack, that means it's like you know, it's a symbolized negative thing. So it's like you are going to die or somebody around you going to die and you got to pay respect, and that's why you don't stop. And also the table manner. Okay, Pedro, you tell me, Portugal, when you go to the restaurant with a few people in a table, what will be deemed to be polite or not polite?
I think would be to be like quiet, like quiet voice, or
That's good.
talk talk a little bit.
Not too loud.
Yeah, not too loud, and don't put the
Elbows
elbows
on the
on the
yeah,
table.
right?
And I don't know. That's it. I think it's the main thing.
But in China, I don't know, is it because the history we got, yeah, we got specific table manner. For example, uh, just to say in a family setting, if we eat as a family, yeah, nobody start until the head of the family are sitting down. Yeah, so it's in my case, it's until my father sit down, nobody dare to move. Yeah. And secondly, we have to not to say thank you, but we have to address to our senior just to say, have dinner, father, So everybody will go around, and then we all say to the mother, and then my brother will say to me. So the seniority of the family unit are very important. And also, because there's another Chinese culture on the table, is all the meat in the south is the smaller pieces. Yeah. So obviously, there's two reasons. One, because it saves so much of wood or fuel or gas to cook because it's much quicker. Yeah.
Yeah.
The second one is we can share. So that means a dish, it could share 2 people, it could share 4 people, 6 people, or 8 people. It just depends, you have to see and how quickly you can eat as well. Yeah, so also our table manner, if we had all our food is in the middle, all our dishes. So we don't use plate.
Okay.
Because in Europe, in plate is you put it all on your plate, isn't it? Very quickly. We have a bowl.
Yeah.
So that means you cannot pile up. Yeah. So that means you have to take turn, not take turn, but because you cannot pile up, so you could not get the whole lot. And because it's a chopstick, we don't use a spoon, so you can't say whoop, and it's mine. Yeah. So by chopstick, that means is you share. But the manner, we always say you need to watch. If 6 people, if that's 12 pieces of meat, you should only take 2, not 3. Because you take 3, that means somebody have to take less.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's manner. And also if you take, you don't sort of think, that side is better. So you reach over. You should not reach over. You should get what is near you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you think about it, you got 8 people, everybody, so you will lay a fighting in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's but also the table manner we have. We always say we work hard. At the end, we would like to enjoy a meal. Yeah, so we encourage talking because it's a family time. Because not like the European, we cook with the bones. It's like Portuguese, I think. So we, for example, we eat fish, we eat meat. You can take the bones out on the table, put it on the table. But for example, in Britain, which is deemed to be very impolite. Yeah, and I saw people eat prawns because there is some shells. They don't know what to do, so they chew and they swallow. Because if you take things out, it's impolite.
Yeah.
But probably not now.
Yeah,
a bit more relaxed. Is it the same?
Yeah.
But the Portuguese like fish
you,
head, though, isn't it?
What you do is like when you don't. Yeah, with the fish you take. Yeah, in Portugal we do it with the hands and yeah like the chicken and and the fish we use with the bones.
So the Portuguese is between, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you taste something and you don't like it, you don't
spit it out.
Yeah, it's not a good thing to do.
No.
It's not polite,
No. Yeah, so that is the differences in for the Chinese. To you work hard. The first thing is you want to enjoy your meal. So in our thinking is okay, we will be polite, yeah. But in terms of your own enjoyment, we say relax and enjoy. You want to talk, talk. You want to belch, you belch. Things you don't want to take it out, you take it out. Yeah, okay. So we are more relaxed.
And the meals, do the meals last long, or it is? If you are saying that you are eating and talking, so the meal should last a little longer.
Much longer. Much longer
because we are eating and talking, and then we eat a little bit and then talk.
Yeah, enjoyment because always as a family. Because when I first come to England, I always remember not my first meal, but one of the meal I went and the family I went to and give me a piece of pork chop, and my parent came to visit me. So we have some potato, one pork chop, and when they finished, my mum looked at me and said, "Son, that's it?" I say, yeah, what is on your plate? That's it, isn't it? It's not like you've got a big pile in the middle, you can help yourself. No, so the Chinese is take much more time. And if you go to a banquet, like a wedding, we normally have about 12 courses. So that take you about 2 to 3 hours to eat. But because we serve one course, you finish it and they take away, and then you have a second course, and then you go away, and then they serve you the fourth course. So it's a dish each time. So it's not like you know all the food all in the middle. Yeah. So Chinese eat, yeah, more slowly, more slowly. But one thing we don't have is we do not have the dessert like the Portuguese. I always say the main course for the Portuguese is your cake.
Mhm.
Yeah, we don't. We at the end of the meal normally we have is fresh fruit. We don't cake is not a common thing for us.
Yeah. Uh, Here in Portugal, we have a thing that we should not talk with food on the mouth. Is that a thing on Chinese, or you are eating and talking at the same time?
Well, obviously, I mean, if you got food in your mouth, it's difficult to talk.
Yeah.
Particularly, you got rice, then you will talk, spread it out. So normally we don't, but because all the food is in the middle, so it's not like in your plate. In your plate, then people can see your progress, how quickly you eat, how slow you eat, yeah, because everything's there. So if somebody finish and yours is still power up, that is not nice. But for Chinese, because we only have a bowl of rice in front of you and everything in the middle. So you think about that scenario, that means you can take your time. Two of you is like you got some peanut in the middle. You keep talking and you take one peanut in the middle and eat it. But the main thing in the middle. So really, that sense, the meal will take longer, and also the food will keep hotter because they are staying together.
Here in Portugal, I think people tend to eat more and talk like we talk, but it's not like a conversation. We talk a little bit, and then when we have eat all of the meal, then we spend the time
After,
talking. Yeah, I
yeah,
think.
no, Chinese is in normal family, we take it it's like a social time together.
Yeah, in Portugal it's the same, but
Yeah,
but it's in the same in the it's not the same way, but it's the same thing.
it is. Yeah, but also I think that because the setup, because all the dishes in the middle, so you can be more relaxed. You don't need to be quick,
Hmm.
or people see you haven't eaten yours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a more relaxing.
So I have another question for you. You sometime before you said that Portugal food and the Chinese food have some are a little bit close to each other.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah, similar. Yes, it's the word. Uh, can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, I
Because
think.
you have the two perspectives.
Yeah, I think, for example, one of the famous Portuguese dishes is a chicken in the pot. Am I correct?
Yeah, it's a soup.
It's not soup.
No.
It's actually served in cow dish. I, it's like a stew, but yeah, I think it's chicken in the pot. That is what I can tell because you make it in a pot, but you stew to quite not a lot of sauce, but it's very delicious. So it's one of the style of cooking we use.
Okay.
And but all my friends in terms of when we come is or in this region, the Portuguese produce or how to cook the fish. You grill it and with the garlics and olive oil. The freshness are very in touch with our cooking.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so some of those dishes are very similar to our taste.
And do the Chinese use a lot of spices?
Then depends.
Because you tell me that on the south they don't use a lot of spice because
Correct.
the food is so fresh that don't need it.
Exactly.
But I wonder if the north or the
The
middle.
west, yeah, because if you look at the map, one day you look at the shape of China.
Yeah.
The China is actually is like a chicken, but looking in the right. So the chicken where it's have all the meat is the breast. Yeah. So you look at it, that will be from Shanghai all the way to Canton. So that all. But then to the west, northwest is to back to Himalaya. So they are the poor country because they are hilly, rocky, no seafood and the meat. So they use a lot of herbs because the meat normally they get rotten easily. So they use the heavy, the heavy herbs to cover and the fish and everything. And so the Chinese always say it is a heavy used to not now. I have to say respect to a lot of people like to use different herbs because of the Portuguese. You create the spice trade, the root to bring all the herbs spice from the Far East to Europe.
Yeah.
So the way to use the herbs for the for the European, the herbs is for favor. But so it's different from Chinese thinking. The Chinese thinking is if you are a heavy herb, that means your meat is no good.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why for the certain Chinese, we always like to taste chicken should taste like chicken. Yeah, the duck should taste like the duck. So if you add too much sauce into it, you can't really tell.
So when Chinese people eat something that is a lot of spices in there, they will get, this is not as good as it's supposed to be.
If I travel, I will feel that way.
Yeah.
But obviously, if I go to friends, because now because the herbs is readily available, so people will cook based on what they like. So I will not think the quality of the meat is no good. But then again, even if I got some leftover of the meat, I will use sauce to cover it up. Yeah, it's like your soup. I was told anything left over, you put in the soup because nobody tell.
Here in Portugal, we had a way to not to cover, but to make the meat last longer. That is to salt to put salt in the food to remove the water, and then the meat won't get rotten.
Correct.
So when you eat like pork, it's coming to be salty, and back in the days and nowadays, we eat all of the pig, all of it. We can eat all of it. I can't, but like my parents or the older people, all
Every part of the pig.
every part. And with the cod, you know, in Portugal we don't have the codfish.
Yeah.
So we have to salt it.
Yeah.
To have the cod here. So
but then,
that's a way to.
Yeah, but that may be something I always wonder because in a lot of country we eat what is available to us. We eat what we grow, or what we catch.
Yeah.
But the bacalhau is caught fish.
Yeah.
You don't get it outside Portugal. You have to go to North Europe. How come that happened?
I really don't know, but I think people discovered that way to preserve the meat and the fish, and then it was a way to eat that fish that we can eat.
But that must be very expensive.
Yeah.
Because everybody eat bacalhau, but the caught fish had to be from North Europe. So every time you have to pay instead to catch yourself or to grow.
Yeah, and yeah, that's the thing. But people, when it's I don't know. I think that the poor people don't eat bacalhau. Nowadays they eat, but back in the days they
Because so
couldn't.
expensive.
Yeah, I think it was expensive. People eat like sardines and fish like that we put the boat on
Yeah.
the sea and we catch
Yeah.
those fishes. So
So
I think
is it bacalhau? Are you telling me 80 to 100% of Portuguese they all eat bacalhau?
yeah, the people can nowadays people eat and like there's a tradition that in the Christmas
Yeah.
people eat bacalhau.
So do people? Can I ask like something silly? Do you have bacalhau once a week?
No.
No.
No, I think people don't have. I think it's more. I don't know really, but it's a thing because nowadays it's normal to eat bacalhau.
It's not, or it is.
It is. It is.
What?
Nowadays it is.
Once a week or once every 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think people can. If people if some because in Portugal, I don't know why is that we say that we have I we have 1,000 ways to
cook bacalhau.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, people can eat it, and nowadays it's not too expensive. If you buy a whole thing, it is expensive, but you don't have to.
Yeah. No, it's one thing. When I come to Portugal, I was very interested. You know, how can the whole country bacalhau was the main dishes, but it's not produced or grow or found around your own area.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably is with your Navy history. So you was one of the in the 16th century, it was the most powerful country in the world. So the sea is yours, isn't it?
But back in the days, people in Portugal don't have potatoes, and nowadays we eat potatoes every day. So
True.
it is.
True.
I think with the the globalization, I don't know if that word is.
Yeah, the globalization. Yeah.
Yeah, I think with that everything is possible to eat. And,
But the world is smaller now.
yeah, I think it is.
I think probably I don't
Not
know.
the China still big, but yeah.
I think China because our strength, but also the weakness of the Chinese culture is our isolation. Because the Great Wall, you heard about the Great Wall, which is the length of 2,000 miles. The Great Wall was built is to fence off people coming in. Because China, in our own meaning, is the central kingdom. So what we see is this is our world. Yeah. So don't disturb us. And that's why the Great Wall was built to fence off people from the north to coming in. And because of that, so we are not also the Chinese culture. Chinese is not aggressive. Aggressive, for example, very simple thing. China used to be very powerful, but we never have colony. We always will say to people, you respect us. So every year, take one or two gifts to us, to our emperor. So like, you pay respect to your uncle or to your parent. And that's it. But China never have colony because we say we are big enough. Yeah, and one of the saying we always say, we don't worry people to conquer us. Why? Because we are so big, you will become one of us. Yeah, you're thinking about because, for example, in England, except the New Year. Which New Year you will celebrate? People will celebrate Chinese New Year. Yeah, it's more popular. So the China, because we are more inclined to share, we don't mind to share things. So by sharing, then it's people will have more experience to each other, and you can accept people. Yeah, and yeah, it's like Chinese food. Why Chinese food is so popular? Yeah, Pedro, let me ask you a question. Before you met me,
Yeah,
have you met any Chinese? Talk to, like have a conversation.
I don't think so.
Yeah?
I don't think so.
But how long ago you already know there's a Chinese food?
Oh, since I was a kid, or
Exactly.
yeah.
So really, you think about the Chinese food is the first experience you have about Chinese culture. Even you don't know anything about Chinese, but you know, there's different food.
Mhm.
So the Chinese food is very important for people to able to accept or understand Chinese. And for the overseas Chinese, the Chinese food is significant because people may never talk to Chinese, but majority people have Chinese food or no Chinese food.
Mhm.
But Portugal, Chinese food is not very popular, isn't it?
No, I think Japanese food is more popular. Or I think when you see restaurants in Portugal, you see like Asian, like in Portugal they they combine all the Asian foods.
Yeah,
So like sushi with noodles.
yeah,
So in the same restaurant you have Japanese and Chinese culture.
right.
Yeah, in Portugal I think this is a thing. But I think there are some only Chinese type of restaurants. But
So Pedro, yeah, you're about 20 years old,
yeah,
am I correct? So in the last 5 years, then let's say, except Portuguese cuisine, what other food you have?
yeah, I have Chinese and
The Chinese?
Italian. I think
Italian? Or I think, yeah,
I think is
Thai?
no Thai, no,
No?
no, like Chinese, like noodles, and
Yeah.
it's more. I really like noodles.
No, good. Because also when our organizations cook for the elderly day center, yeah, so they are normally 70, 80 onward.
Mhm.
And we find, I would say, at least 95% of the people, except those who been living in Canada or in other European cities, 95% of the elderly never try anything except Portuguese food. Am I right?
Yeah.
Why is that? Is it because the Portuguese so proud of the Portuguese food and
No.
don't want to try anything else?
No, I don't think it's that. I think Portugal was until '74 was a closed
Close
country.
country, right?
So we don't care about the other things that was happening on the other countries, and we don't want we. There was a rule that we have to be. I don't know the word, but I think
Proud?
it's proud of our country. So we are our culture. So until '74 was that way of thinking. Then we opened the border lines, and
Yeah.
then let the culture.
Open.
Yeah, we opened our minds, and nowadays you can see all types of restaurants like uh, kebabs and things like that, like Chinese, Japanese, and Italian. All of nowadays you can eat um, a lot of things, but those people you are talking, the oldest ones, they used to live like that. So they have some trouble to try another things and
Not Portuguese.
to catch another cultures. Do you think? Do you understand what I am trying to?
They don't trust or they don't want to try.
Yeah, I think it's more I don't want to try. I am Portuguese. I eat Portuguese things. Chinese eat all of the,
But once a month,
yeah.
if not.
Chinese eat everything, and I want to do that. I think it's more like that.
So, but okay, the one we talk about is over 80. But what about the people who born after 75? So it's about what, 50 years old, 40 years old?
Mhm.
Do you think they eat more different things
Yeah,
or they
yeah.
still only eat Portuguese?
No, I think they eat like nowadays. I think people eat everything and from everything. I think people don't have the trouble, but it depends on the person because what I'm used to do is what I'm more tend to do. So if I'm used to eat Portuguese every day, tomorrow I will eat like Portuguese. I don't wake up and no, today I will eat Chinese.
Okay, so let me change then. You eat at home, yeah? Often,
Yeah.
yeah? So your mother's cooking
Yeah.
for, if you say every month,
Mhm.
how many meal your mom cook will be not Portuguese?
I don't think that are any. Uh, the foods that are not Portugal, I think that's me that I'm cooking.
But the family is still not because you like
Yeah.
In Britain.
When we want to try some, we don't cook at home. We go to the restaurant or something.
But at home often will be Portuguese food.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, so your mom won't suddenly say, okay, let me try some Chinese food or Indian food or
No, I think like only if it's pizza. I think pizza is it's from every world now.
right. So I think maybe in the future with some international event, we need to introduce more different food
Mhm.
to the woman, to the well, sorry, it may be all the family cook, family chef,
Mhm.
because that will enlarge, isn't it? That will be change in the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're done.
Yeah, I think I learned something from you today as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Joseph, by your explanation about China and Chinese cuisine.
Thank you. No, thank you for the opportunity.
And thank you to the people that were asking us questions.
Definitely, definitely. Hopefully, we can get on better by able to taste our different food and our experience and understanding. Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.